cold outside. Not just the wind, not just the frost that bites through armor and skin. I'm not talking about winter. I'm talking about life, about the silence after war, about the stillness that follows loss. You feel it in your bones when there's nothing left to fight for, but your heart still beats out of habit. That's what cold is. When your soul shivers even under the sun, when everything dies around you, but you still breathe. That's the cruelest punishment, isn't it? Not dying, living through it. I was a warrior once. Maybe I still am. I don't know what that word means anymore. Back then, it meant something. Blood, sacrifice, duty, pain. We carried swords like extensions of our will. We stood between death and those we swore to protect. We didn't cry. We didn't run. We endured. We buried brothers with our own hands, clenched our teeth, and walked away because war didn't wait for grief. And now, all I do is grieve. Grieve for the ones I couldn't save. For the parts of me I lost along the way. For the warmth I once had inside. Now gone. Do you know what it's like to feel empty in a crowded room? To scream without a sound? To smile because people expect it? But your eyes, they betray you. I do. I've walked through fields of bodies. I've held children with their last breaths trembling in my hands. I've kissed foreheads knowing it was goodbye. And still, here I am, alone, talking to the wind, talking to ghosts, talking to the warrior who still lives inside me, clawing to get out, screaming, "Don't give up now." But I'm tired. God, I'm so tired. They say time heals. What a joke. Time doesn't heal. It hides. It buries. It distracts. It covers the wounds, but never closes them. You learn to walk with a limp, that's all. You learn to speak without breaking, but your voice always carries a tremble. You learn to laugh again, but it's hollow. That kind of cold, the one that clings to your soul. There's no fire that burns it out. There's only pain. And you carry it like armor, heavy, rusted. But you wear it because the world doesn't care about your scars. They only see weakness if you show them. I remember her eyes. I remember their voices, my brothers, my love, my people, all gone, taken, and I, who swore to protect them, I'm still here. Isn't that cruel? The warrior survives, but everything he fought for is gone. I tried to follow them once, blade in hand, tears in my eyes, but something stopped me. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was cowardice. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the voice inside that whispered, "You don't get to rest yet." And so I stayed. I walked. I wandered. I carried their names like a curse, like chains. Each step forward, each sunrise I watched alone. I dragged them with me, and I hated it. I hated breathing. I hated the beating of my own heart. I hated every moment that reminded me I was still alive while they weren't. But pain is a strange companion. It never leaves. It shapes you. And slowly I began to see it for what it was. Not a punishment, but a fuel, a reason. They're gone, but I'm still here. So maybe that means something. Maybe I wasn't meant to die with them. Maybe my role wasn't to end with their story. Maybe, just maybe, I'm the last line, the last voice, the last roar in the night, reminding the world they once lived, that they mattered, that I mattered. And so I sharpened my blade again, not for war, not for vengeance, but for memory, for meaning. You listening out there, you broken like me, you crying in silence because the world expects you to be strong. I see you, I know you, I am you, and I'm telling you, don't you dare stop now. Don't you let the cold win. Don't you let the silence take you. Cry if you must. Scream if you need to. But don't stop walking. Crawl if you have to. Bleed if you must. But keep going. Because if you've survived this much pain, there's no hell left that can break you. You've already been through it. You're not weak. You're still breathing. I've come to understand something most never do until it's too late. The strongest don't always roar. Sometimes they whisper through clenched teeth. Sometimes they break down behind closed doors. Sometimes the strongest ones are the most shattered, the most scarred, the most tired. But they never stopped. That's what real strength is. It's not about standing tall. It's about standing again. After you've been knocked down so many times, you lose count. After life has spat on you, laughed at your pain, stolen everything you ever loved, and still you rise. Wounded, limping, crying. But you rise. Because the pain didn't break you, it rebuilt you. I don't wear my armor to fight anymore. I wear it because I need something to hold me together, something to remind me that even though I've lost everything, I still have me. And that has to count for something. The world out there, it's merciless. It doesn't care how kind you were, how loyal, how much you gave. It'll tear you apart bury you under silence, and forget your name. But I won't. I carry the names. I carry every scream, every farewell, every cold hand that slipped from mine. They live in me now. Their fire fuels me. And I won't let that flame die. I still remember the smell of smoke, the blood on my hands that never seemed to wash off. The battlefield was my home, but now I fight a different kind of war, a silent one, a war with memories, with guilt, with grief that sinks its claws into your spine and whispers, "It was your fault." And you want to believe it, because when you love that deeply, you'll take any blame just to feel like you could have saved them. But you couldn't. I couldn't. And that truth, it cuts deeper than any blade. But that's the cost of love. That's the price of carrying hearts that weren't built to last forever. There are days I still talk to them, not with words, just thoughts, just silence. When the wind brushes past me like her fingers used to. When the moon shines the way it did the night before he fell beside me, whispering his last breath. When I smell the firewood and remember laughter that will never echo again, I talk to them, and they don't answer, but they're there. I feel them in the ache behind my ribs, in the way my hand shakes when I touch the hilt of my sword, in the way I still hesitate before sleep, because I know the dreams will come. You want to know what hurts the most? It's not the battles, it's not the scars, it's the after, the emptiness, the silence after the storm. When the battlefield is clean and you're left wondering, what was the point? You sacrificed everything. You gave your soul, and for what? A graveyard of names no one remembers, a lifetime of nightmares, a heart that beats only to remind you of what you lost. That's the kind of pain that doesn't scream, it sinks, it anchors you, drags you to the bottom of yourself until you're drowning in your own memories. But you survive because something inside refuses to die. And that something, that fire, it's still there, isn't it? Buried deep beneath the tears, the fatigue, the endless nights. It flickers, it fights, it keeps whispering, one more day, just one more. And you listen, not because you want to, but because you must. Because you've made it this far, and if you stop now, if you let go now, then everything you've endured, everything you've lost, it was for nothing. And I refuse to let their deaths mean nothing. I refuse to be the last one standing and forget why I stood in the first place. So I rise. Every damn day I rise with heavy feet, with shaking hands, with a heart that's more scar than muscle. I rise, not because I feel strong, but because I remember what it was like to have someone believe in me. And even if there's no one left now, I will believe in myself. I owe them that much. I owe me that much. Listen to me. Whoever you are, wherever you're reading this from, if you're cold, if you're broken, if the world has chewed you up and spit you out, if your heart feels like it's made of glass, the cracks are getting deeper, keep going. Cry, scream, fall, but don't stop. Don't let the pain win. You've already survived too much to let it bury you now. You're not weak for feeling. You're not lost for hurting. You're human. And pain is proof you're alive. Let it sharpen you. Let it remind you that you still care. And if no one told you this today, I'm proud of you for breathing, for waking up, for facing the cold when everything inside begged you to hide. I know what it's like. I'm still in it, and I may never escape it. But I promise you, there's power in surviving. There's glory in not giving up. Even if the only one who sees it is you. It's cold outside, but I've made peace with the cold. I walk with it. I breathe it. I let it remind me that warmth once existed, and maybe one day, maybe someday, I'll feel that warmth again. Until then, I carry my dead, I carry my scars, I carry me, and that's enough for now. Some nights I wonder if I've truly survived, or if I've just become a ghost with a heartbeat. You see, there's a difference between living and not being dead. I don't laugh like I used to. I don't sleep without seeing faces I'll never touch again. And when I look in the mirror, I don't recognize the man staring back. His eyes are hollow, like he's waiting for something that will never come. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm waiting for a moment that redeems all this suffering, that makes it all make sense. But life doesn't hand out reasons. It doesn't give you closure. It leaves you with wounds and expects you to walk. I still walk, but every step is heavy, not from the years, but from the weight of what I carry: guilt, love, regret. Names I whisper in the dark because I'm afraid I'll forget the sound of them. That's the real curse of surviving. Memory. You don't just remember their laughter. You remember their silence too. The last breath. The blood on your hands. The way their grip loosened as the light left their eyes. And no matter how many battles you win after that, there's always this voice whispering, you lost the only ones that mattered. And you start to believe it. I didn't choose this path. It chose me. I was forged in loss, sharpened by grief and tempered by pain. I didn't want to be strong. I wanted peace. I wanted warmth. I wanted to hold the ones I loved without the fear that the next dawn would take them. But life doesn't negotiate. It breaks. It rips. It burns. And in the ashes you decide, lie down or rise again. I rose. I didn't know why at the time. I still don't. Maybe I just didn't want their stories to end in silence. Maybe I just wanted someone, anyone, to remember that they once mattered. People think warriors are made on the battlefield. They're wrong. Warriors are made in silence, in the lonely nights, in the moments when you feel like you've got nothing left, but you stand anyway. When the world forgets you, but you remember who you are. When everything around you dies, but you refuse to let your spirit follow. That's where warriors are born, not in victory, but in loss. Not in glory, but in grief. I've learned that the heart doesn't break once. It breaks every day. You carry your ghosts like shadows. You walk through life with an invisible army of memories at your back. And sometimes they whisper encouragement. Sometimes they remind you why you started. But sometimes they just scream. And you have to live with that. You have to wake up and carry them anyway, because if you let them go, you let a piece of yourself die with them. I don't cry often anymore, not because I'm stronger, but because the tears dried up. My soul grieves in silence now, in how long I stare at the sky, in how tightly I clench my jaw when I hear the old songs, in how I flinch at laughter that sounds too much like what I've lost. But when I do cry, it's not just sadness, it's rage. Rage at the world, rage at fate, rage at myself, because no matter how many I saved, I can't forget the ones I didn't, and that's the wound that never closes. That's the part that always bleeds. But pain is not the enemy. It's a reminder that I loved deeply, that I cared fiercely, that I stood for something greater than myself. And even if the world has forgotten those names, I haven't. I never will, because their voices echo in mine. Their fire burns in my veins. Their dreams live through my steps. I am what remains of them. I am their legacy, and that is a burden I'll carry with pride. So if you're standing in the cold, if your hands are shaking, your knees are weak, your soul is tired, don't you dare fall now. Let the cold remind you that you're still alive. Let it teach you that even in the harshest storms you can endure. And when the world tells you you're done, when your mind whispers you've given enough, you look back at how far you've come. You survived every moment that tried to end you. You stood when everything told you to kneel. You breathed when the air itself felt like glass. That is not weakness. That is warrior blood. And let me tell you something, no one else will. Not all warriors wear armor. Some wear grief. Some wear heartbreak. Some wear silence. And those are the ones the world underestimates. But they're the ones who will outlast the storm. Because when you've lost everything and you still choose to walk forward, that strength the world cannot measure. It's still cold outside, and it probably always will be. But now, I walk with my head higher, not because the pain is gone, but because I've made peace with it. I've accepted that some scars won't fade, some nights will always feel empty, and some hearts never truly heal. But I walk anyway, because someone has to. Someone has to keep the fire alive. Someone has to remember. Someone has to fight. That someone is me. There's a certain silence that comes after too much pain. Not the kind of silence that soothes, no. It's a heavier kind. It feels like standing in a room full of echoes, but hearing nothing familiar anymore. That's the silence I live in now. People talk, the world moves. But nothing cuts through the fog. It all feels distant, like I'm watching life through glass. I'm here, but not really. I laugh sometimes. I speak when needed. But my soul is sitting alone in the ruins of a life that once had color, warmth, purpose. You know what no one tells you? That even when you survive the war, you don't come back whole. You return with pieces missing. People think you're strong because you're standing. They don't see the way your hands tremble when you're alone. They don't know the way sleep becomes a battlefield worse than anything you saw in daylight. They don't hear the screaming in your chest when you remember the exact second everything changed. When the blade went in, when the fire took them, when the goodbye was real and not just another promise. You carry that forever. You carry them forever. And it weighs more than any sword. I've buried more than I can count. Friends, family, hope. I've knelt in mud soaked with blood and begged the sky for mercy. I've shouted to gods I don't believe in, asking them why I was the one left behind. I never got an answer, just more silence, just more cold And I realized eventually maybe I was never supposed to get answers. Maybe the lesson was never about why it happened, but about who I would become after it did. And I've become someone I barely recognize. Not softer. No, not softer. Harder, sharper, colder in ways I wish I weren't. But honest, raw, real. I don't pretend anymore. I don't wear a smile to keep others comfortable. I don't lie when they ask me if I'm okay, because I'm not. And maybe I never will be. But I'm here. I'm still fighting, and that counts for something. Maybe not to them, maybe not to the world, but to me. To the part of me that refuses to die quietly. I don't seek revenge anymore. I used to. I burned with it. I thought if I made the world bleed like I did, it would balance things. But it doesn't. Pain doesn't trade for pain. All it does is multiply. All it does is dig your grave deeper. So now I fight for memory. I fight to remember who I was before the shadows claimed everything I loved. I fight to prove that I can still rise, even if no one's watching, even if no one claps, even if the only audience left is the ghosts I carry. Let me speak to the ones who feel forgotten, the ones who ache in silence, the ones who gave everything and got nothing in return. I see you. I am you. And I need you to hear this. Your story isn't over just because it hurts. The pain isn't a full stop, it's a comma. You can keep writing, you can keep building. You can rise from this, and no, it won't be quick, it won't be pretty. But you will rise, scarred, changed, but stronger than they ever expected. Strength isn't how loud you scream, it's how quietly you endure. It's waking up when every bone begs you to stay down. It's standing tall with a shattered spine. It's offering your hand to others while your own heart bleeds in silence. That's real power. That's the kind the world doesn't celebrate. But it's the kind that saves lives, including your own. I still remember the warmth. I still remember her smile, his laugh, their hands in mine. And it hurts. God, it hurts. But I refuse to let those memories be tombstones. I refuse to let them rot in the past, so I carry them with me. Not to weep, but to honor. Every battle I survive now is one they couldn't. Every breath I take is one they were robbed of. And so I breathe deeper. I walk farther. I scream louder, because I carry the voices of the fallen in my chest, and they will not be silenced. If I fall again, and I might, I'll rise again, not because I'm fearless, but because I've already survived worse, And if you're still here, still listening, still breathing, so have you. So don't you dare tell yourself you're weak. Don't you dare believe the lies your pain whispers at night. You're not broken. You're battle-born. You're not lost. You're being remade. And there's still fire in you. I see it. I feel it. Even in the cold, even in the dark, it's there. It's cold outside, and maybe it always will be. But now I walk with something stronger than warmth. I walk with purpose. I walk for the fallen, for the forgotten, for every warrior who died with their dreams, and for every soul who lived but forgot how to feel. I walk for them. I fight for them. I carry them like torches in the snow. And if the cold never ends, then so be it. Let it rage. Let the wind howl and the night stretch forever, because I have become a storm louder than their silence. I have become a fire that no winter can kill. You reach a point where you stop asking for peace, not because you don't want it, but because you know it's a luxury men like us don't get. Peace is for those who haven't seen what we've seen, for those who haven't had to bury their joy just to survive the next day. I used to beg for it, on my knees, fist clenched, whispering into the void, offering whatever was left of me if I could just feel whole again. But nothing came, just more cold, more silence. And then one day I stopped asking. I got up, I accepted it. The peace I once wanted, it's not out there, it's inside. And it's not calm, it's a storm I've learned to live with. People romanticize pain. They think it makes you wise or strong or poetic. Let me tell you the truth. It makes you numb. You stop flinching at things that should break you. You stop caring about comfort. You start seeing everything for what it really is. Temporary, fleeting, fragile. You stop trusting smiles. You question every kind word. And when someone says, "I'm here for you," all you can think about is how many others said the same before disappearing into the wind. Pain doesn't make you deep. It makes you distant. And you learn to exist in that distance. Not because you want to, but because the warmth costs too much to lose again. There are moments, few and fleeting, where I remember what it felt like to believe in something. When I held her hand and thought I could protect her from anything. When my brothers laughed around the fire and I thought we'd die old, not in pieces. When I stood tall, not from pride, but from purpose. I miss that man, the one who hadn't seen it all fall apart yet, the one who still had hope in his eyes. He died somewhere along the way, maybe on a battlefield, maybe in a hospital room, maybe in a whispered goodbye. I don't know. But I still carry his armor, and I still try to walk like he did, straight, steady, ready. But make no mistake, I am not him. I am what came after, the version that kept going, the version that doesn't need applause or love or understanding to rise. I rise because I must, because this world does not wait for the broken to heal. It keeps turning, it keeps taking, and if you don't move with it, it leaves you behind like roadkill. That's the truth no one tells you. You don't heal and then move. You move while healing. You stagger forward with your ribs cracked open and your soul howling for what you've lost. But you move anyway. You want to talk about strength? Let's talk about the man who wakes up every day with no one waiting for him, no arms to hold him, no voice calling his name, just silence, just memories, just ghosts, and still he gets up. He faces the day. He walks into the cold, not because he's fearless, but because there's no other choice. That's strength. That's survival. That's the warrior I've become. One step at a time. One breath at a time. Carrying the weight of the past like a shield, even when it crushes me. And I know there are others like me. You, maybe, sitting in the dark, holding back tears that have nowhere to go, asking questions that never get answered, wondering if all this pain means anything. Let me tell you something I've learned. Pain is not meaningless unless you let it be. You can let it rot you from the inside, or you can let it forge something new. Let it teach you how deep you can go and still come back. Let it sharpen your instincts. Let it break all the illusions the world fed you and show you what really matters. Because when you lose everything, you find out what you are. And I am fire. Not the kind that warms, the kind that survives in the cold, the kind that burns through the lies, the weakness, the fake smiles, the kind that stays lit even when the wind howls. I am that flame, and so are you. You wouldn't be here reading this, breathing through the pain, if you weren't. You wouldn't still be standing if the fire wasn't in you. So stop waiting for permission to rise. Stop waiting for the pain to leave. Use it. Build with it. Walk through it like it's part of you, because it is. I've spent so many nights wishing things had gone differently, replaying moments, wondering if I could have said something, done something, saved someone. But there is no undoing, only moving. The past is a weight I can't change, but I can decide how I carry it. I can carry it as chains, or I can carry it like armor. And I choose armor. Because what hurt me made me harder. What shattered me made me sharper. I don't want to forget. I don't want to let go. I want to remember everything and walk with it anyway. It's cold outside, and yet I walk. I walk because someone has to show the others it's possible. I walk for the broken who don't believe they can get back up. I walk for the ones who still whisper names in the dark. I walk for the ones who need to see that strength isn't loud, it's quiet, brutal endurance. And if I fall again, I'll rise again, not to prove a point, not for glory, but because giving up is not an option. Because if I give up, then their memory dies with me. And I will never let that happen.